Welcome to the Actionable ESG Talk series, brought to you by AKFI, the Actionable Knowledge Foundational Institute, the world's first non-profit industry consortium committed to bridging the gap between ESG, sustainability, AI, and digital transformation. Actionable ESG Talks bring together great minds to discuss the current and future state of ESG, sustainability, and digital transformation. I'm delighted to be here with our guest, Martin Viehöver. Welcome, Martin. I'll take a second to read a little bit on your biography. We'll use it when we release the video, the whole text we have. You are the founder and CEO of Positive Impact, or PI, a sustainability strategy and impact accounting consultancy, which is focused on integrating sustainability into corporate strategy, decision-making, and value creation. All sound like positive for sustainability. We usually start with a broad question, and this time we're asking, what are the current trends in sustainability and profitability? Because we'll talk a lot about business cases and business in today's talk.
Sure.
The floor is yours.
Thanks very much, Manuel. It's a pleasure to be here, an honor as well. So current trends, I would say it goes a bit away from storytelling to factual, data-driven approaches. And it goes a little bit away from trying to do a nice story to really measuring progress. And to understand the business implications and to find the strategy that is best fitting for your risk opportunity profile.
So, do I hear correctly? Sustainability connects to strategy, not only to reporting.
Well, that's a very it's a 1 hour filling question itself, I would say. I just the other day commented on a post saying, well, normally it should be that strategy eats compliance for breakfast, but nowadays compliance eats strategy for breakfast, which is actually not the way it should be. Yeah, it should be the other way around. But the problem is that regulatory requirements are so overwhelming for many firms that they forget about strategy. And they do not make the connection with strategy. And they feel by being able to tick a box is called strategy.
I'm sorry. I can make a number of observations, but one of them is the fear of risk rather and the understanding that the bigger risk is with the wrong or missing strategy than it is to not tick one box and getting called and said, "Hey, you missed something."
Yeah.
But
we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there, and I know you prepared a couple of slides as well for us. Many times when we talk about sustainability, we hear the word, well, what is your business case? Why sustainability cannot make money for us? And when can it make money for us? Why it's not a cost?
Yeah, very good point. And the answer is a bit more complex, I would say. I'll try to answer it a little bit deeper in my presentation. But as a start, the challenge here is that the answer is different for different companies. And the business case has different components. It has the direct contributions, like what is the direct value add by saving costs or increasing revenues. Yeah. But you also have more indirect ones, the less tangible aspects, like to what extent does it help reduce risk? Or to what extent does it help seize opportunities that you don't see or that you don't seize at the moment? Yeah. And the question on whether we have those kind of components of the business case or not highly depends on your business model, where you're located, what's your overall business strategy, um, what's your impacts, like what impacts do you have, and to what extent does government actually try to manage those impacts by various
Okay.
instruments, like carbon tax, for example. So there's it's not a simple answer like you have to do this and then you have a business case.
No, it will
Apart
be easy. It will
uh,
be easy
apart
if it's
from
a simple answer.
I mean, apart from using the organ between the ears, yeah? I mean, that's something I can use as a general advice. Only then it's possible to get the business case.
But uh, that's a very, very realistic picture. Uh, Thinking about that, actually, one question would be on the business case. Should companies still try to have a business case? They have a business case process usually, especially
Yeah,
companies that rely on strategy. Should they have also try a business case for sustainability, open that lens? And
yeah,
also, secondary to that, who should own the business case? In general, business cases are product development or strategy, not so much strategy, more product development or business
yeah.
development.
A lot of very relevant questions. If it's okay for you, man, I'll try to answer them with a little bit of visual support.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely. I think we
so
need it.
let me start. Happy to meet Actionable ESG. And we at Positive Impacts, we claim to redefine excellence in sustainability accounting and strategy. So let me start by introducing what is the link of sustainability and the business case. So or let me start, why is there a lack between sustainability and a business case? One starting problem is that typically sustainability impacts or ESG data is very fragmented, so it's very hard to really compare. The second thing is the link, and that's the puzzle pieces in the title that don't fit. Yeah? The link to financial implications are often unclear. How does that link to profits, appreciation, the weighted average cost of capital, or the net present value? So the puzzle of ESG is not made to fit for financials. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the third problem is that many strategies blindly follow misguiding certifications or regulations. So it's a little bit like you have all those requirements from numerous frameworks or regulation that you try to comply to, or maybe even rating providers. And they typically lead to processes within firms that don't follow really a strategy, apart from ticking those boxes. And these processes, as those pieces you see here, they don't fit together. And this basically causes there to be no business case or
Hmm.
to create the absence of a business case because this situation is just going to produce costs without any benefit or with a little benefit, only little benefit in return. Yeah.
I have a question here. Especially in Europe, right? The CSRD still
Yes.
maintains the reporting on double materiality. To me, that reporting almost begs to have a business case because the other materiality has the business case, right? It's why the company operates and how it's
Yeah.
profitable.
Yeah. The challenge with the CZE is that it it has on one side it has too much leeway and interpretation possibility. On the other side is that, but this again would be a topic by itself. The question of single or double materiality is should not be a reporting exercise, but should be a strategy exercise. And you have companies where single materiality makes sense, and you have companies where double materiality makes sense. So
Okay.
from a reporting, either IFRS or ISSB or EU Commission, what they don't get yet is that it doesn't make sense to predefine materiality in a standard. Yeah, because it at the end it is a strategic question, and sustainability is not a reporting question. It's a question of performance, value and risk, and strategy. And neither of those can be really standardized in a binary way.
Very, very interesting, actually, because of course we know the regulation seems to preoccupy the minds of people in sustainability.
Yeah.
And please continue.
Yes, please. Happy to. So, when we talk about impacts, we have developed a reference path that allows us to determine what is a positive and what is a negative impact. What is it today and what is it tomorrow? The second framework we worked on is a way to translate how does ESG actually translate into financials. So, to what extent does sustainability add value? To what extent does it protect from risk? But also, to what extent does it create new risks? Yeah. So here we basically try to make the translation to make it understandable for the CFO. And the third is a strategy framework that helps to say, okay, if I know the value and risk implications of my impacts, then I can say which strategy is the best fit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've looked at over 36 frameworks to basically ask the question, okay, what are the questions that you should try to address? And the difference of our strategy framework is that we not only have the questions that all those frameworks ask, but we also have up to 5 answers depending on what strategy you actually want to choose. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a typical tick box exercise where there's a question and you can say, yes, I do it. But there's a question, and the question is, how do you do it?
Mhm. And
So
you mentioned five distinct strategies. Sounds like you have a taxonomy of strategies.
yes, I'll get there in a second. But this exactly answers the question that you had on, so how should you organize yourself? Yeah. Where should the business model or the business case lie? And I would say it should lie where it makes sense for the company to lie. There is no like tick box, you have to put it there and then it's going to work. Yeah. That's a very common misconception. And one important thing to remember, in particular for the ones that you have that are maybe new to the topic, when you talk about sustainability, ESG, or impacts, then you are talking about a public perspective on what companies and investors do. When you talk about value and strategy, you have a private perspective on to what extent does what you do to society has implications for you as a private business or investor, and what can you do about those implications to make sure that you get a benefit out of it. Yeah. So that's very important to, if there's only one thing you have to understand from this talk is that you have to understand there's two perspectives.
Okay, outside in and inside out. Sounds like it.
Yeah, it's also referred to as that. Yeah. Now, when we dig deeper a bit into impacts and the role of AI, I think it's important to understand why reporting or alignment metrics are not real impact measurement. Yeah. Let me start with a definition that also the EU uses. So, negative impacts are the undesired changes on environment, people, and the economy. And positive impacts are the desired changes on environment, people, and the economy. Yeah. Now, classical metrics that you will find in the market, they are actually performance indicators or costs, if you quantify the cost to society that you cause, they typically only show the principal direction. So is it in principle good or in principle bad? Like 1 ton of CO2, you would say, it's probably typically bad. Yeah.
Hmm.
One forest that you plant, in principle, is good. Yeah. But when you talk about impact, it's not like the question of is it in principle good or is it in principle bad, but is it good or bad? Yeah.
Absolutely.
In order for being able to distinguish that in an aspect that is in principle good, like planting a forest, the question is not have you done that, but the question of is was it enough? Yeah. Should there be not one forest but two forests, as an example? Or
Hmm.
if you emit 1 ton of GHG emissions nowadays, it's not the question of have you emitted 1 ton of CO2, but how much value did you create at the same time? And is the ratio between the greenhouse gases and the value that you generate, is it super poor? Then you have a negative impact. Or if it's very good, very positive, then you have a positive impact. So
Very
this
clear.
that's
Very,
that's that's very difficult for people to understand.
very clear. And actually, a couple of years ago, I was invited at a conference by Cornell on system thinking.
Yes.
And I choose to analyze the electric vehicles, and they fit perfectly in your example. The batteries can be on the, you know, challenging part, right? Minerals, storage, recycling, and so on.
Yeah.
The electric vehicles can save and it can be environmentally more friendly if you consider that the energy you put in, the electricity, is
Yeah.
renewable. And if it's not, then you sort of back to the same square,
Problem.
right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like the charm of this approach is it allows you to take out those buzzwords like, oh, it's a circular product, that's why it's good. I don't know if its circular product is really better than the virgin product. Yeah, I'm able to assess it. Yeah, so by having a global reference path, we can say, okay, where are you on this path? Yeah, and we actually integrated all kinds of public targets that are existent, and then you can connect to economic activity. Um, and we also use a little bit of monetization, but only to weight the different topics amongst each other. Yeah. So the zero line is actually the reference path. So this reference path is something that we have to change every year because we get new data from UNEP for global greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah. So the path uh, changes every year because the actual emissions change every year. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so let me give you an example. Here you see the six topics that the path currently covers. You see climate, water, biodiversity, health, social aspects, and fiscal contributions. And the red zone is negative impacts. The green zone is positive impacts. Yeah.
And I want to add something here. The DAX is the German market
Yes.
index, right?
That's like the 40 largest companies in the German stock market. To be transparent, we only looked at the real economy companies, which are like 32 or 33 in the year of 2022. So it has been 4 years ago now, but it's more like to understand the concept. And with the help of AI, we are able to estimate every data point of that portfolio companies. Yeah. So
Very
we can
interesting.
estimate how should the company look like if every company of the DAX 40 was performing at industry average level. Yeah.
Hmm.
And you can see like, oh, when those companies would perform as the German industry average, then in total they would have positive impacts. Yeah, they would be in the green zone. climate would be negative, water would be positive, health would be negative, and fiscal, the German companies pay taxes. Huh? So, and then when you change every data point that you've estimated with the primary data point that you actually got from the reports, you see that the companies were actually worse than their benchmark. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they were actually negative. And then it gets even more interesting. Then you look at, okay, what climate targets do they have? What climate targets they don't have? Do they have a water target? Do they have a biodiversity target? Da 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 da. Yeah. And then when you take the targets for granted and look at the topics where they don't have targets, and then make a projection, you can also compare today's impacts in blue with future impacts in orange. And then
Okay.
you can see, oops, the future impacts that we call net present impact, KPI that we also have registered in the US, by the way. We can discount the projection of the company, just like you can do it with net present value.
Right.
It allows us to compare investments, just like in financial terms, in impact terms. Yeah.
Very interesting. And how much into the future you can have a reliable projection? It's 1 year ahead, or
No, no, no. It's in this case we looked at I think it was until 2060 or longer or something.
okay, so that allows you to adjust your strategy, right, for the long
Exactly.
term.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's basically the question like if you, for example, if you want to invest for the sake of your children so that your children can inherit your investments someday, yeah, you can ask yourself, what future do you want to invest for your children, huh? Um,
Clear.
yeah, so this is just a use case on how you can quantitatively assess impacts of a company, of a product, of a project, of an investment portfolio, yeah, and compare it. Like understand, does it have positive impacts or negative impacts?
So
Is it gonna improve or not?
if you are a CEO of one of these companies, you'll say, well, of course I want to be, moving. The trajectory is not the right one, at least in a couple of metrics, and I want to correct it. But the next question is how much will cost, right? What my
Absolutely.
CFO will tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first question is not how much it will cost. The first question, I mean, the very first question should be, do I know what I see here? Yeah.
Okay.
So if I know what I see here, the second question should be, what are the risks and opportunities that are linked to that development?
Okay.
So then you should try to assess your risk and opportunity because of the things you buy from your suppliers, the things that you do in your operations, and the things that you depend on in your downstream value chain. And if you
Okay.
understand those impacts and to what extent they pose a risk and opportunity, you then understand, okay, now I understand the risks and opportunities. And then you ask the third question, what are the options to do about it? And to what extent do those options reduce my risk and seize opportunities? And then you can always assess the direct costs you have for those measures with the indirect benefits of reduced risk and seized opportunities. Yeah.
So if I can sort of summarize, which I think I heard,
Yes.
is first thing, uh, understand the tools, the metrics we use. Second, it's adjust your strategy. Start to question your strategy if it's the right one or how you can adjust it for the long term. Later on, you can make a decision on this. So you may change your strategic direction or not, depending on the analysis. And finally, you can start to see how that translates in the long-term valuation of the company rather than value.
Yeah, pretty good. Let me also
Okay, good, thanks.
answer the question on how supply chain comes into play a little bit, and how AI can help with this. In general, AI is very useful to do estimates or to help being able to do estimates. And there's two general approaches: the bottom up and the top down approach. So bottom
Okay.
up is very product specific. When you have not too many products, yeah, you can try to use AI to do a mapping with product level databases. But you anyway, I have one client that spent 3 months on quality checking what AI did. Yeah? So yeah, over time this will become more better. Yeah, the more you train AI. The other one is the top-down approach, where you more look like at sector. Yeah, you make a connection of supplier to sector, and then you understand what sector impacts you have purchased, so to speak. And you can also make a hybrid approach where you do a combination of the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are the areas where AI can be very helpful to take away the effort. Yeah, I mean, I know one German company, they have 340,000 suppliers.
Oh, okay. More than a larger number. I knew the number in Shell, and there were in the tens of thousands.
Yeah.
So,
So if you have 340,000 suppliers, yeah, you can imagine how many products they have that they buy. Yeah.
right,
Um, it's nearly impossible to do a bottom-up approach. Yeah.
absolutely.
Have to first do a top-down approach, and once you know what are the critical suppliers that you buy from, then you can dig deeper into trying to understand
And
it. Yeah.
and what we found in this example, smaller companies, we did studies, for instance, on car and tire industry. And
Yeah.
what we found, it's actually, and we proposing a framework, we call it STS, Sustainability Transaction Standard.
Mm.
Um, what we found, it's actually exactly the mismatch you showed at the beginning. You know, ESG, it's a piece that doesn't fit into the
Yeah.
strategy, doesn't fit into financial reporting, and I cannot even imagine when you have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of suppliers, how you can align and get some data that it's usable for AI, because AI doesn't know good data
Yeah.
from bad data.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's I do see initiatives on the globe, the Greenhouse Gas Protocol and ISO, trying to come up with a product level GHG accounting, the EU with digital product passport. So I see things improving, and probably in 10 years of time, we will be not discussing such a slide any longer. Yeah. So it's a 10-year question, and then it's done. I would say mostly. Yeah.